Here we go. I'm on that dope again, I'm on that flow again, switch up the flow again, yeah. Fly down the parachute, ripping that pole
Todd,
again.
down to floor. Young Skywalker, as I call ya.
Yes. Yes,
Tell
Yoda.
us, huh?
Yes,
Yoda.
Yoda.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your company.
Yeah, so I'm Todd. Down to Floor is my company. I started it probably five years ago now, I think, maybe 6. Did it the wrong way around. I quit my job, then tried to start getting work instead of getting the clientele first and then sort of building up.
Yeah.
So the first 6 months was pretty rough. Just labouring for mates just to pay bills and pay rent and that kind of thing. And then sort of picked up from there. I made the Instagram account, started putting a lot of my work up, sort of just grew from there. That's how we actually met on Instagram.
Was it Instagram or was it for a mutual friend at a shop that we will not, a company we will not name?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Was it for him? Yeah, it was. I was looking for an installer.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and you came recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we started talking back and forth a bit on Instagram about work and everything, and then...
we still do. Always bouncing ideas and
yeah,
having a laugh, tagging each other on Instagram.
It's good. I mean, I think we're all in some way competitors, but I think working with other installers to make yourself better, to grow, you're never gonna. It's a losing battle if you go up against every installer in the industry, because there's hundreds of installers. So if you can sort of work in with other people, learn, grow, bounce off each other, as you said. Do jobs with each other. If you got too much on and I'm a bit quiet, I sort of work with you on those jobs.
Are you still opening up your own shop?
Yeah, got the shop. I got it in October. I've just sort of been too busy to do anything about it at the moment. But that should be up and running, say probably January or February. Just in Chelsea Heights there. So it's going to be like a warehouse style showroom. Something a little bit different, I think, to what most showrooms are.
Well, it is. When I started, I was like a floor installer, got into retail, wasn't really common or heard of. A lot of the suppliers were against me because the other floor shops were kind of not allowing politics-wise.
Yeah.
But I think it is the right thing. Like you worked for floor shops, the same as me. When we worked for them, you go to the job blind, things will not be explained to the customer directly, and they'll take a markup off you, and you can't do the job properly. And then you just don't have passion for it. And that's what I've been saying for a long time. A lot of floor installers that love what they do, they should just take that risk, just open your own floor shop.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, I agree. Yeah, because that's where I started off, just working with floor shops. I probably gave my business card to every floor shop in Melbourne at some point when I first started, just to try and get my name out there, try and get a bit of work. And then did that for probably a couple of years, but I got a bit over it because, as you said, you sort of, as an installer, you almost go into a job blind, where to a lot of floor shops, they just want to make the sale. That's their job. They sell a product, they sell timber, and then it's onto the installer, where installer might go there. No one's talked about trims, what colour trims, what stair nosings, if you're taking skirts off or putting quad down, anything like that. So that was quite frustrating, definitely in the beginning. Always sort of being caught in the middle, where you get sent to a job and then something's not right, something hasn't been discussed, and then you're in the middle going, well, what do I do now? I'm here to lay. And me having other guys on at the time, I'm paying them out of my pocket to sit there and do nothing, because there's been miscommunication between us as the installer, the floor shop, and then the client. That was probably the most... it was frustrating, but that's how I got started. I guess everyone kind of starts there.
Yeah, you have to, yeah. The biggest thing was for us, especially working with my dad, was really like fussy and anal with things. And for us was like, you start laying the floor, and the customer walk in, and it's like, that's not my floor,
Yeah,
and
it's the wrong colour.
they've not been explained like variation from batch to batch. They've not looked at a batch and signed off on it. You know, knots, all these things, and you'll just come in, start laying, and they'll think it's like the completely wrong floor.
Yeah.
And then like you're the bad guy. You picked up the wrong batch, or sorry, the wrong color, and you're
Yeah.
showing them on the box. Well, that's the color. It matches your paperwork.
Yeah.
And like you said, subfloor prep. They they think it's like a couple $100.
Yeah.
You know, a bag of leveling can be anywhere from the cheaper stuff from like $35
Yeah.
up to $60 a
That's
bag.
not the stuff that you want to be using under floor
Yeah,
timber flooring anyway.
yeah,
So,
like I
and
see
then
that as
if you
well.
then you have to factor in your labour as well. You know, you're not working for free. You're good at what you do. You should be paid accordingly
Yeah.
for your day rate or for your labour.
So there's no that's what people always say. Like when you go to especially a larger floor shop, almost like a franchise, there's not enough meat on the bone. So they have to take, off the floor markup and off the installer
Yeah.
to survive, to make a profit, to be worth it for them. That's why I tell people like, um, to get a good quality install like yourself, like when you work for me, you do the job directly with the customer. Like we introduce you, we go like together sometimes, go through the job,
Yeah.
and they pay you directly because I want you to be happy. And also there's no point in me putting a markup, and then the customer has to pay extra for nothing.
Yeah.
That extra should go towards you, so you're happy to do the job and you can take your time. And if the job takes an extra day, you don't care. Like you're making
Yeah,
fair
well, that's
money.
it. Yeah, I think that's probably why I naturally started wanting to work with you, because that's the first thing you said to me is, I mean, we obviously got along because we're very similar with what we do. We're quite, as you said, anal, I guess. We take a lot of pride in what we do. So I think that's why we're sort of connected because what you're going to give the customer, I'm pretty much going to give almost the same, exact same thing. So, when you said to me, we don't want to make money off the installer's back because you're the one out there doing the 8, 9, 10-hour days, doing all the labour, all the lifting, all that kind of thing. I thought, you know what, this guy's right. He's making money on the sale, but he's giving me all the labour to me. He gets more customers. He gets a happy customer. I get a day's work. I get paid. Everyone wins, really. The customer wins because they got a good job.
I had a flashback. I remember when I was working with my dad, the floor shop said to my dad, "Oh, you guys make too much money." Because he looked at like, oh, he sold 100 squares. He's made whatever, $1,500, $2,000, whatever it is. But for us to do like direct stick, to the whatever subfloor it is, you're making much more. But they don't realize, well, I have to shift over a ton of floor. I have to lay it. Your knees are busted. My lifespan is short.
Yeah.
A salesperson can work, until they retire in an office.
Yeah.
So, and I remember he's like, oh, we have to come up with like an arrangement where I take a markup off you. And I said to my dad, man, you need to kind of get out of this because you work for so many floor shops, and you're always first on the list. So you've got, high demand. Just go do your own thing.
Yeah.
But English and coming from a different country so long ago, he was a bit worried. And that's why when I got out of carpentry, I said to him, let's just start here. Like this was our first showroom.
Yeah.
And within like the first year, we a day off was like a luxury for us we didn't have.
Yeah. Well,
that's why I said to you, like just start your own shop. If somebody says to me I went down to floor to get a quote, I'll just tell them, just go back to him. There's like no point. Like I can do the install and you can supply to floor or vice versa, but it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Like because you always call me and we always talk about technical things or pricing. Sometimes I don't know how to price something and you've done it. So that's why, like I said in the last podcast, I want to work with people that are on the same page.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And as I said before, it's I think you said in the last video as well, it's good to have competition. That's how you get better. That's how you grow. That's what sort of, I guess, drives you, motivates you to keep doing what you're doing and always looking for ways to, get better and perfect certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these guys cutting they don't have a drop saw stand. They just put the drop
Yeah.
saw on top of the floor with some cardboards, and it's like
with
offcuts everywhere and dust
with
everywhere.
no vacuum.
Yeah,
There's
cutting inside the
no
house.
covering. You can see
Yeah.
that they got couches in the next room.
Yeah.
They're obviously still living there, but no covering, no vacuum. You know, even putting a drop saw on the finished floor is probably
Yeah.
not a good idea because if it moves around a bit, potential damage.
Yeah, that's why we always like if we can cut outside, we'll cut outside. If we cut inside, we put a lot of like drop sheets. You know, we got like with the Festool vacuums, like $1,000 vacuums or
I think
more.
I've probably the most money I've spent on tools is probably vacuums. We've probably got over $10,000 worth just of vacuums.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the biggest things is not so much the job, like the finished product. Obviously, that's one of the most important things, but also is what you do for the rest of the job. So dust, you know, like you said, if you can cut outside, do that. If you have to cut inside, make sure you protect things because there's nothing worse, especially when you're grinding. Concrete dust is so fine, you could be grinding and you don't see much in the air, but by the time you leave that day, you walk down the other side of the house and the dust has settled on the windowsill, on blinds, carpet, whatever it is. And it's a nightmare to try and clean every little nook and cranny and get the dust out.
Yeah, most people don't even clean it.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's the difference between people that take pride in what they do and people that just see it as a way to get money. You know, a lot of people will go, "Oh, if I lay this job today, I'll earn $2,000 today." It's like, okay, well, that's all good to earn money, but you know, where's your pride? The quality of the job's not as good. You've probably missed things. The cleanup, how you leave the house, you know, all the rubbish, all the dust, and then all the rubbish as well. I always either say I can take it with me. I'll just charge a tip fee, or you can get rid of it. But always leave it in a nice, neat pile. But yeah, you see guys on Instagram that just have sort of dust everywhere, boxes everywhere, offcuts everywhere, and then leave it up to the builder. And then if the builder doesn't get there in time, the next trade comes in, they get upset with the builder because then now that they have to spend their time cleaning up someone else's mess. So I remember Cookie said it in the last video that it's all the little 1%ers that make up the 100%. So everything that you do along the way is going to be, you know, that's your brand, that's your reputation. That's why you and I as well, that's why we get along, is because we put everything into what we do. And look at your reviews on Google. I don't think you've got a bad one.
Yeah,
to be honest.
spams.
Yeah, it's spam.
Probably somebody
jealous that
that
you've got so much
headhunting
work.
was-
And exactly right.
Well, that's why I tell people, like, you can, like, when you run a business, people say you always got to invest back. It's also investing in money, but it's also investing with your like body and soul to make the job.
Yeah.
You know, like I watch you when you do your subfloor prep on windows trying to get that flush finish. You're going around with the off cut and like a packer to make sure it's like consistent.
Yeah.
Like with 1.5 mil, that's all the way through.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you know, they don't do that. Like even with subfloor prep, like the reason that we charge money, it's not because we want to. Well, the vacuum and the grinder is like for a good decent setup is like
10 grand.
Yeah. I think you get them for like 8.5 now for like smaller machines, smaller backs.
Yeah.
But then where are your segments? Like
Exactly right.
I'm importing my own segments because it's, you know, paying here $30 for one segment. You need 6 on the machine.
Yeah.
Like
you can go through $600 just in segments in one day, and then then when you get asked why is the price what it is, well, it's not just me trying to earn money. It's all the material as well. It's all the segments. They're not cheap. Then obviously primer, leveling, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, it all adds up. I think that's why we do charge what we do.
Yeah. And also the leveling compound, when I started, there wasn't much around.
Yeah.
Today, like you see, like every few months, a new brand. It's like, where'd you get it? Like, where's it produced? Oh, it's produced like in Indonesia and China. It's like, nah, man, like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like, I know a mate was using some stuff and it seized in the pump.
Really?
Yeah, it cost like 10 grand to get the pump cleaned.
Yeah, right.
So lucky they salvaged it because like leveling, it just goes everywhere.
It's like funny, if you look at Instagram, all the different installs, like you said, every 3 or 4 weeks they're using something different.
Yeah.
And you know, there's 20 or 30 different glues, leveling, primers on the market, and then something else brand new comes in. So okay, well, it might be a bit cheaper, but where's the with a history of it. How do you know it's going to work? You know, you can't just pop up on the scene and then be the best thing ever.
Well, that's like the 2-in-1 glue, like that's the or 3-in-1, 4-in-1, whatever. That's the craze, but no one's actually. Everybody's looking at price, but no one's actually looking at technical data. Like no one's doing moisture tests, nothing. They're just applying it. I know a guy. He applied, did a 3-in-1, and the whole floor's buckled.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I've done 100 jobs. They've never had an issue. Well, maybe this job had
Well,
water lying somewhere underneath the slab."
Yeah, that's it. It's that one job that can ruin you, that can destroy your business, that can destroy your reputation, you know, financially as well. But that's why every job I go to the length that I do, because you might do 100 jobs, never have an issue. But if you start sort of cutting corners or go, oh, it's fine, hasn't happened in the last 2 years, but something does happen, you end up in court. You got to pay court fees, lawyer fees, the client. You've got to pay for all the material that you've used and ripped up. It's, it can be a very costly mistake. So, I try and obviously do all the readings and everything first. If it's a high reading, that's when we look at drilling into the slab, because that's a bit more accurate with everything. But at the minimum, I'll just try and do one moisture seal and then the 2-in-1. So kind of give you sort of 2 barriers almost.
Yeah, like that you're protected.
Yeah.
There's very rarely will fail. If it's failing, it's probably got somewhere raising damp or water coming in. But yeah, like that's why I say to people, if you're working for like direct stick at a good rate, you know, $40 a square meter plus glue for a floor shop, that's good numbers. But very rare you'll come across that. You'll get that from a shop.
Yeah.
But you know, you're not looking at all those little things. You know, your set outs. Like me and you, we laugh when we see people using like the 600 boards in the hallway. They put like 3 in a row, and then we tag each other on social media, and it's like, you know, we're giving them a hard time, but you don't
each to their own. Yeah, each to their own. But I feel that
that's not a high end finish.
Yeah, and I feel that the customers don't know that. Yeah. The installs are just doing it to either use them up or they haven't set everything out. And then normally, if you use a smaller board, well, not normally, but sometimes if you use a smaller board, the next row you're going to get caught because of that smaller board.
And you have to add it again.
If you don't plan and set it out.
Yeah.
So then the only way out of it is to put another small board, and then you get to the 3rd row. You have to put another small board, otherwise it's going to catch the joins on the other ones.
Yeah.
So the set out to me is probably, the floor prep's obviously number 1. Some people say floor prep, it's a unnecessary expense, which again, each to their own. But I try and educate my customers that once the floor is down, especially if you're sticking it down, it's down. There's no second go at it unless you want to rip up the floor and then relay it, or if you want to start drilling holes everywhere and injecting glue in. So if you're building, if you're renovating, even if you're just changing your floor, you spend 30 grand on the floor, on the product, then for the install, what's an extra 1,000, 1,500, 2 grand even to make the floor nice and flat? Because once, as I said, once it's down, you can't fix it. And it's one of those things where I've had customers in the past where as soon as you notice something, you'll pick it up every single time. So if you walk and you find there's a bit of a bouncy spot or a bit hollow, or you see it in a sliding door, you can see it go from a 10 mil cork to a 1 mil cork. As soon as you pick it up once, then every time you're gonna look at it, and then they just said, "I wish I just paid that extra $1,000 to do it."
It's a little bit easier when you deal with the end customer, but if you're working for a builder, you have to check the slab, and you might say to them, "Well, see this section of slab, it's actually not VBA compliant. You've got on 2 meters, it's like 8 mil out of level. Yeah. So what do you want me to do? Like, one of us need to fix this issue, because if your customer moves in, they get an inspector, like that guy on TikTok, you know, he comes in and he checks it and it's out of level. Like I've seen on his video, he's like, "Oh, the floors are out of level." And some people probably misunderstand and think the floorboard's out of level. No, it's actually what's underneath. Yeah. And you know, like some builders which we work for, you know, we tell them sometimes we'll come out like after the concrete pour, like next day or next 2 days when you can walk across it, and check the slab and say, okay, you need to get the concreter back because these spots he needs to kind of rectify on his cost. or we can do it and then you can bill him whatever.
Yeah.
But
The problem with that is a lot of the time, if the slab's poured, it could be 12 months until the floor's ready to go in. So you come and do the site inspection, you go, oh, subfloor's not in compliance, it's going to cost such and such to fix it. And then it gets put back on the client, because it's hard to call someone up that did a job 12 months ago, oh, hey, you need to pay me $2,000 because your slab wasn't in compliance. He's already been paid, that money's already spent.
yeah,
It's hard to call him back. So that's, I think,
early stages is best
yeah,
to do
yeah,
it.
things. Well, with my job I just did recently in Northcote, I spoke to the builder and he had the same idea as do the floor prep before the tiles go in. So it was an older timber subfloor, I think it's 1930s or 40s or something. So it's quite wavy. It was actually in pretty good condition considering how old it was, but it was quite wavy. So it happened that the tiled area fell in a low spot. So we had to bring that up about 8 or 9 mil to make it flat. Where if the tiles were already in,
You're restricted.
you're restricted. So if you get the subfloor flat, then the timber's going to be sitting 10 mil above the tiles. Or if you want the tiles and timber to be a good match, your floor's not going to be flat. So we spoke and said, let's do the floor prep first. So now that we've got that sort of 8 mil above the subfloor mark, now the tiler can screed to that level, and that way it's going to be a neat finish with the tiles and the timber.
Yeah, that's why I tell builders, like, you want a subfloor preparation and floor installation, 2 different things.
Yeah.
You want to do your prep pretty much in lockup, like after plaster, before fix, sorry, because then you've got, I call it ground zero.
Yeah.
Then that stair guy knows the heights, the tiler knows
Yeah.
the heights, you know, your door heights. You don't want to, you know, like I said, be restricted by the staircase and be grinding. That's the job we did in Queensland. When I went up there early, I told the customer, I'm like, I'll probably do the prep, then chuck the windows in. And I saw the builder didn't really want to do that. He had his dating point. I didn't want to step on anybody's feet. I didn't really know. I had no relationship, no one there.
Yeah.
Like with a customer now, I've got a relationship. And poor bugger, he had to invest so much money cutting back the slab so the floor could finish flush the window.
Yeah.
Because the window was set off a low point.
Yeah.
Sorry, off a high point. No, it'll be off a low point.
Yeah.
But it was actually needed leveling there. But if we leveled it, then the floor would be 15 mil above the window.
Yeah, then they work to that.
Yeah, so he just off the wrong datum point.
Yeah, well, I feel that a lot of things just aren't getting checked. Things are getting signed off too easily, and then it gets to the finishing touches like flooring, the tiles and things like that. And we can only work with what's there. So we can't, like I said, if there's a sliding door that's been put in on a bit of an angle or window or anything, and we want to get the floor flat, but that's going to affect everything else. That's going to affect the window height, the cork line is going to be inconsistent. Yeah, like I said before, with the tiles, it can be sitting above the tiles. I feel like things aren't getting checked as much as they should, and then it's kind of like a band-aid fix. It's kind of like, all right, well, this is what we're working with. Let's just try and make it look the best, do what we can do, and then we'll just try and cover it up the best we can for the client. Cork that, paint that,
It comes down to the builders. The builders that we work for, like today's builder, he did his subfloor check himself, and he knew it was a little bit out of whack.
Yeah.
And he told me, and we fixed it. So some builders will check it themselves and they know what they're in for. Some will just send me out, but it's hard. Like when you go into the building industry, for builders to do a good job and to check everything, they look at their profit margins. So it's like a whole.
I mean, I just work for myself, and even just organising my week and where I'm going to be here and there, and that's just me. That's just one trade. So how they do it with every trade, and then someone gets delayed, and they have to call 10 people and say, oh no, it's all been delayed. Come this date. Like I give hats off to them. They do a good job, and I certainly wouldn't do it. That's why I'm just a timber floorer. I'm not a builder, because organising all the trades, making sure everything's in check, and then especially in today's climate with everything that's going on, tradie shortage, materials through the roof. It's definitely difficult, but there's a lot of builders out there that I know I work for and you work for as well. They take pride in what they do.
Yeah, they're
and they're good to work for, because they they want to give the client the best finish and product possible, same as us. Obviously, there's a lot of builders out there that just want to make a quick buck and just sort of slap it together. And, there's jobs where I've kind of just walked away from and just said, look, don't want to put my name to it because I know it's going to end bad. We want you to do the install, but don't do the floor prep. All right, so what's going to happen when the client moves in and picks up bouncy spots and hollow spots? You're going to call me to come fix it. Where I told you before I installed, this should be done to get within Australian standards. And, I'll say, if this is what you want to do, you sign a document saying that I advise you to do the floor prep. You went against it, so nothing comes back on me. And then either they'll sign it, or I'll just say, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not interested.
Yeah, we had large projects like that. Like we had a couple that were 500 houses. We walked away after the 15th one. The subfloor was so bad, they didn't want to pay for it. And the most recent one, he signed the paper, actually sent me an email saying, don't worry about levels, just focus on making it flat. Even though we did the right thing, the customer that bought the property, he started going over a spear level and checking things.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's 10 mil at a level. It's like, well, if I start leveling here, when I get into the room, it's going to be 40 mil.
Yeah.
I can't level 40 mil. Like, is that structurally, is the frame going to support that
Yeah,
weight?
and by that time, everything else is probably built around it. So you can't just start bringing certain areas up if they've got a kitchen there or something like that. Because if in front of a staircase, there's a legal thing, has to be a certain height so you can't level too much in front of this, a staircase. Things like that.
Yeah, like that's what I say, like builders, like the builder I was talking today, like concreting is a shit of a job. It's like you got blowouts, shrinkage, movement, but they should still, after the pour, come back and check it.
Yeah,
not just put like an invoice in, like, with frame, like upstairs posies, you might change a little bit when they load up the tiles or the roof upstairs.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it, you should be checking it. Like you can't have 25 mil at a level on a posi, like on a floor joist, or the beam's too high. Well, they've not set up the top plates so the ground floor top plates to meet the steel. So you have to kind of, there's no communication. Like in the building industry, how I've been taught by my old boss to do carpentry, it's all about communication, and I use that in flooring. Even if I know the answer, I'll still ask the customer, like, or the builder, how do you want to do this here? Like, these are your options. This is what I can do. So in construction, there's no communication, a lack of it. Everybody wants to make money quick, not looking after like the next guy. Like people leaving rubbish, especially for us, we're like coming to the end of the job, cleaning up after all other trades, and then
pride.
Pride too. And then I see a lot of people now, like, just they've set up a crew and they just send them to do the job.
Yeah.
It's like, like back to the floor shops when you subcontract. If I'm paying the floor shop, $55-$60 for direct stick, and the installer's only going to get 40-50% of that, why am I paying that extra? What's the fee for the shop's overheads?
Yeah, and for the installer to be working for that money, if he spends a week on it, he's not going to earn much money at all. So he's like, I need to get this done within 2 or 3 days. But then that's when you lose the quality. That's when you lose the care factor and the product. Yeah, exactly.
Like parkentry, I tell people parkentry is the worst. It's so slow. You cannot force it.
Yeah.
To lay like 140 square meters, if you've got a good parkentry and a square open house, no tiles, no door jams, no kitchen, if it's prepped and ready to go, you can probably lay it with 3 people in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's if you're smashing the hours, and that's easy run. But if you've got kitchen tiles in, you cut every 3 mil.
Majority of the time
you're there for like a week and a half.
Yeah. In
a week and a half, you can lay strip flooring way quicker.
Yeah.
And even like I was watching something on social media. This lady was doing like a video of her, and you can see like dark boards and that white plank in the herringbone. I'm like, it's just whatever comes out of the box.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
And then we kind of stress, is the owner gonna like that board? Like that board's not bad. Like, and then everything starts blending in, and nothing looks everything looks the same. To you, and you start freaking out. Like,
but sometimes there's obvious ones, like you said, where it's all like a nice tan color, and then you got just one real dark one in the middle of the lounge room. Like, it is. They're just open boxes, and then whatever comes out, they put in. Where I know you're all the same. I know a lot of installers are the same. Well, the good ones anyway. They will open up, say, 30 or 40% of the boxes before they even start. They'll, put half boards, full boards together. They'll separate them by color, by grading, what sort of grains and knots and everything like that. And then that way, when you know what you're working with, then you can blend them. But if you just pull them straight out of the box, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, we make a pile as well. Like if I don't see the customer, like if they go to work, open up and they go to work, we'll leave a stack off to the side. It's like we don't know what to do with those boards, and then they'll come back and they were like, "Oh yeah, we love those boards. Just blend them in."
Yeah.
Because you don't know. Like you worry about the customer.
Yeah.
Try to make them happy, but like again, like everybody just puts the boxes next to them, cut them open, and just whatever comes out. They're putting 600s.
Yeah, I'd say like 95. Same with me. 95% of customers, when you put something aside, if you're not sure if they'll like it, they go, "Oh no, I love it." But it's that 5% that if you put in boards and ends up like in a obvious hallway or kitchen, and they go, "Oh, I don't like that one." Oh, okay, well then you have to rip it out. Then you waste time ripping it out. Ripping out flooring is a bit of an art to it. It's quite risky. There's chance of damage on the next one, especially if there's not a big bevel. If it's if it's a
Micro bevel.
Micro bevel, yeah. You've got a sort of high chance of damaging the next board.
Yeah.
By ripping it out.
It's like even like set out. That takes time. Like you're measuring the hallway, trying to make it symmetrical. And then it's like, what am I going to get around the corner?
Yeah.
Even measuring like starters and ends.
Yeah.
Doorways. Like sometimes you get like 3-4 doors in a row, and you're trying to figure out how can I get no joins in all these doors. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you got to put a joint. You only got set lengths. You can't be making your own boards up. And like you see, like how we do things, and it's like other people. Yeah. So the set out, the starters and the finishes. Like it takes time. Like you'll spend. If you got like a tricky house, you might spend up to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Lasering, chalking lines.
Yeah.
Trying to configure things.
Yeah, because ideally, I know you're the same. We want especially if there's a main hallway, you want it to look as symmetrical as possible. But then once you get your symmetry, then you sort of work off that. So if you've got your kitchen off the hallway, you work it out where you don't want to have a 10 mil rip or 5 mil rip in front of the kicker, or in front of the stone bench top, or whatever it is there. Same with the tiles. So if you have to shift your starting point 15 mil that way, and you've got a 190 mil board, you're not going to pick it up if you've got 100 mil that side and then 70 mil that side. You're not really going to pick it up. But then that way, you try and get the biggest board possible at all your tiled areas, kitchen, doorways, stuff like that. And like you said about the doorways and no joins, takes a bit of time, but I do that on majority of my jobs now. Takes a bit of time, but that there's just a lot more sort of pride in it at the end, I think, and just looking down a hallway, knowing you got 2 or 3 full width boards in front of the carpet area, it's probably it's the best finish that you can have, I think, rather than, as you see as well on Instagram, they might be 2 600 boards and then a butt join and then another half board. So you've got 4 or 5 small boards, some are even butt joins put together.
Yeah.
And then you've got 1.9 meter long boards next to it. So it's like join. You've got 4 or 5 different joins in the length of one board. Just looks a bit, I said, each their own, but I guess why we're doing this podcast and this video is to sort of
to show people there's different ways of doing things. Like I look back, like I've had the chance to go back to jobs we did like 15 years ago.
Yeah, and you pick up things that you wouldn't.
I'm like, what the hell was I smoking back then? And it's like you want to improve, always buying things or coming up with solutions, how to better yourself. Some people just do it as a job, like just to make money. Like you go pick up floors from a manufacturer and you see these guys rock up with their vans, take all their tools out, throw your floor in and dump their tools on top. Nothing's organized. Like I tell people, somebody comes to your house with no setup, like no passion, just in their own tools. I like to see their job.
So that's what I think. It's probably the worst thing of the industry is people, see timber floors online. They want a timber floor, so they reach out. They go to a couple of different flooring shops. They have an idea of what they should be getting in their head. shop's probably going to sell them. It's going to be the best floor lay ever. You know, it'll look amazing. Blah blah blah. And then they'll just call up one of their 5 or 6 installers, whoever's available.
Yeah.
Right, send them there, and then the installer will get there and with, as we spoke about before, the set out. You know, we see a lot of jobs, even some high end jobs, which kind of shit me a little bit.
Yeah.
But so you might have a 20-meter long hallway. You've got a 190 mil board on this side.
No, best
and
is
you've got
220 and then a rip.
Yeah, and then 20 mil rip.
Yeah.
It just looks odd to me.
But there are some good installers like the guy Mastercraft was.
Yeah.
He's an animal on the staircases. You know, but I tell people like you go talk to that guy and get a quote off him. You're gonna sit on your ass when he gives you the quote.
Yeah.
But that guy is like a doctor when
Yeah,
it comes to flooring.
yeah.
You know, especially like those staircases does.
Yeah.
Like I really want to try one. I
Yeah.
might do something like that in my next showroom. But that's
Yeah.
what I tell people. Like when you speak to these guys that do these intricate things that actually have, you know, you look at their Instagram, it's like, oh wow, like, you know, that's the best. But then, like when you get a floor shop and they send you an installer, you don't know who they are. Like you can't even look them up until the last minute.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not trying to bash on people or this and that. It's just like when people come in and it's like I went down there and got a quote, and then like back to what I was saying before, it's like, well, I kind of know them. I know who their installers. They do a good job, a standard job, but I don't have the heart to work like that. I kind of want to go to the extreme, like subfloor prep on the laser and
Well, like
all
we were saying
these
before, I mean, we've both probably been labelled as anal or being a perfectionist. I don't think we are. I think we just have a great deal of pride in what we do, and we love doing the things to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't like doing things half-assed. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to put me all into it. That way, I know that every time I leave the job, every time I go to bed at night, I'm happy with what I've done. There's no anxiety, there's no second thoughts. What if they pick this up? What if they do with that? You know, I don't lose any sleep.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you love, like for me, like we were talking about before, like you want to make a coffee table, you know, out of the herringbone epoxies. So we like to, you know, tinker and do things like we enjoy. It's like relaxing. For me, it is.
Yeah, it's like a hobby that we get paid. It's like
To do,
you know, a floor lay, especially if it's a you know, if there's a lot of details and stuff involved. It's like an art. So it's like an art or, you know, a hobby that we get paid to do. And yeah, I like, you know, we always get offcuts of timber. Sometimes you think it's a bit of a waste just throwing it in the tip. So I've already made I made two or three dining tables out of herringbone parquetry. Making a small one now with a bit of resin and epoxy. Just I like being hands on. That's the showroom is going to have that little side to it, I think. So it's obviously going to be flooring. Probably only 2 manufacturers stuff in there. As you spoke about in the last one, there's a lot of stuff out there that I don't want to be associated with or deal with because there's just nothing but headaches and issues with them. So yeah, I'm going to have that flooring side to it, but then obviously that custom furniture, you know, side to it as well. Yeah, as you said, we just like playing around on drop saws and making things. I don't like go out much. You know, I'm not antisocial, but I'm not social. So, you know, I'm on weekends, downtime, I just like to play around the factory and make things and yeah.
Yeah, we just bought the new Festool table
Yeah,
saw.
how'd that go?
Best for parquetry.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's so easy because you can set all the memories and stuff in it.
Oh yeah.
And you don't even need a drop saw. You can do your rips on it, of course, but then you can set the fence on a 45 and just slide all
yeah,
your,
right. Oh, so when all your
rips.
little triangles and stuff around the wall,
Yeah.
you can just right.
Rip it. Yeah, so it's really like
Well,
you won't be sliding boards with glue on it.
No.
Like for what do they go for? Like for almost $4,000.
Yeah, well,
with
for $4,000.
4 batteries.
Yeah.
But it's really good. Even without the safety guard, it's got good dust distraction on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, even with like tools, what do you use? You're on Black & Decker DeWalt.
Drop saw and table saw at the moment, DeWalt. they're probably the best ones I've used. I haven't moved to Festool yet, but they're for what I do, just for your everyday floor, they're probably the best saws I've used. When I do staircases or feature walls or something like that, I'm probably going to get into the Festool soon. But yeah, so DeWalt table saw, drop saw, Milwaukee hand tools, and Festool vacuums. Really, that's my setup.
I do like the DeWalt drop saw because you can interchange between battery and AC
Yeah, well,
power.
I've heard things about that they've had faults and issues with if you do swap them over. If you do it often, then it can lead to issues. So last time, I think I've had mine for maybe 3 or 4 years now, and I've had to take it back once or twice, under warranty too. So they fixed it within a few days and gave it back. But when I left, the DeWalt rep came out and he said, I think he said don't keep changing them back and forth. If you're using batteries, keep using them. If you're using the power, keep using that, because I think they have had issues in the past with some sort of fault if you alternate too much.
Yeah, I use the Makita. I was gonna get that DeWalt because of that.
It's good,
feature.
but the only downside is it's quite big and bulky. So to be putting it in and out of your car and into jobs every single day, it does. Especially if you're working upstairs, it's quite heavy. So I've got a little Milwaukee, the battery powered one as well. That's good for smaller jobs. But yeah, it's just DeWalt's probably my favourite.
I got the Makita one, the newer one, the new batteries.
Yeah,
and it's got twin ports for dust extraction. And I got the bigger battery. It's really good. With the Festool stuff, I just mainly use that for staircase feature walls.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it for everyday
Too
stuff.
expensive. Yeah. And actually, the drop saws, if you look at them, they're like priced pretty much like everybody else's drop saw.
Yeah.
But it's like a shame.
Yeah.
It's like, was it sacrilege or whatever?
Yeah.
To be like sliding boards with glue and just smashing the because you're cutting through so many boards.
Yeah, you always, no matter what saw you buy, the first probably 3 or 4 months, you're always going to be pretty careful with it. But then after that, if you do have glue on it, you go, I'll put it through, I'll clean it off later. Then a week later, you go, I'll clean it off again. And then before you know it, you're putting glue through it. And then, it looks like a plasterer's radio, just covered in glue.
That's like my dad, when sometimes we still work together. And people say, new tools. And my dad's like, that's like 15 years old. Because he'll like metho everything before he goes home every day. Yeah. Even if he's going to be there tomorrow again, before he goes home, he might leave the drops on site,
so that's where your OCD comes from.
Yeah. My dad's next level. He's got carpet in the back, vacuum cleaning his van with the vacuum cleaner. Yeah. But like he'll leave his drop saw, but he'll wash it with the metho and come back tomorrow. And you see people like, new tools. I'm like, no, like, these are old. These are like Stone Age old. Yeah. So, but even that, like I said to him, don't leave your tools. I've left a couple of times on job sites, and you come back next morning, everything's gone.
Yeah. No, I unless the client's living in it, I will never leave anything on site. Yeah. I've seen I think it was like a weekly occurrence. You see on Facebook or Instagram, a tradie put up their stuff got stolen, and for that 15, 20 minutes it takes to put in your van or your car.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how safe to lock
6, 7, 8 grand worth of tools on site. It's I've always done it, and I'll just always take them home with me.
It happened to me only a couple of times, but
But that's enough though. If that's 5 or 6 grand, there goes that week's wage, or you work the last 2 weeks for free. Pretty much.
And I thought the job sites, it's secured, everything's locked up, everything's got bolts on, like the chains and everything.
Yeah.
Come back next morning. What's my microwave doing here outside? And then it's you go inside, you can't find your tools.
Yeah.
They literally took everything.
Yeah, well, there's obviously always been an issue with thieves, but I think now I think it's getting worse. I think people are getting desperate with obviously the cost of living and all that kind of thing. I just feel it's more frequent these days. So you just spend 5 grand or 4 grand on a table saw. You're not leaving that there.
Yeah, that's
even if you have to walk it down 2 flights of stairs, you're taking that home with you.
Yeah, that's why I haven't got a new truck, so everything's secure. Working out of my old truck with like the tradies toolbox, they're pretty easy to jimmy open.
Yeah. I like you set up in the truck. If I ever, once my van gets a bit older, I think I'll do the same.
Yeah, put a $700 coffee machine in it.
Yeah.
Have coffees in the morning.
I'll make my own little kitchen in there, have an air fryer.
I did the maths. Like if you look, there's like 3 of you on the job site. By the time you all get a coffee for a week, you're
Yeah.
almost paying the machine off.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just said, oh, because we're like Europeans, we drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
So I'll just go Harvey's, get one. So we got like a
Yeah.
Samsung one.
Yeah, you could start just driving around the streets and going up to all the job sites and bet behind and start
Yeah,
making your own little thing
selling
on the
coffee,
side,
yeah.
selling coffees and muffins and stuff to tradies.
Well, I like when you working with other traders there on job sites, having a chat with them,
Yeah,
just to get to know them, and yeah, like you learn things that they need. Like I spoke recently to like those hydronic heating guys that,
Yeah.
and I drilled out where he left the pipes, but I think the apprentice set it up wrong.
yeah,
And he said to me, well, just measure like, I think he said like 75 mil off the wall. And then you kind of look at the plant, see what kind of panel size it is. And you just want to center it
yeah,
just to double check. Because, yeah, he was in the wrong spot. He damaged a bit of the board. So we have to go back and replace the board or try to repair it.
yeah,
So, yeah, so he told me how to set out, even though I'm like, what do I know about hydronic heating?
Yeah.
But just to where the pipes exactly land.
yeah.
So yeah, sometimes we chat with tradies.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, you find out things about tools that you haven't picked up on or that you haven't used before.
Yeah. Tricks of the trade.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why we always like talk to each other.
yeah,
Message each other.
yeah. But if we
have
get a
laughs.
new tool or something, I'll give you the feedback and the rundown of it, or vice
Yeah.
versa.
Because you're looking at in the festival now too, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got the Festival Vax, Festival Track Saw, and yeah, I was thinking about just for the more detail kind of stuff, staircases, but that's probably going to stay in the showroom. I think it's not something they want to be carting around every day in the van, potentially get damaged. So I'll just leave that just for staircase, feature walls. stuff
Hopefully
like that.
festival, watch this and they hook you up.
Yeah.
What do you want? You want like a palm sander or the cordless one of the festival?
Yeah, well, because they
table?
offered me a track saw with a table saw, but I've already got a track saw, so
Yeah.
I want to speak to them and instead of getting the track saw, maybe getting the sander for the tables that I'm building.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. That's probably you look at Milwaukee jigsaws are about $400. I've had mine for 3 years and still works fine. But you look at Festival, they're about $1,200. I think.
Yeah, but then you see people rock up. Like it's nothing wrong with it, but like
Yeah.
the Zito and stuff.
Yeah.
So I say,
Well, I started with Ryobi. That got me through the first probably 2 years, I reckon. But yeah, you definitely notice the difference. As soon as I went to Milwaukee, I just went, yeah, wow, I know the difference.
Mm.
I'm assuming that'd be the same going to Festool from Milwaukee. You'll notice the difference. But at the moment, I can't justify $1,500 or whatever it is for a jigsaw that my Milwaukee one's had it for 3 years and works fine.
yeah. Got much any big jobs coming up?
Yeah, I'm pretty much booked until April next year. Yeah, pretty much April, and December is going to be pretty busy for me. I purposely didn't book in as much work this year just so I can take it easy up until Christmas, because every year I
Christmas rush.
work up until have something booked until the 21st, 2-3 weeks straight up until the 24th. So I didn't want to do that this year, but I've had a few delays, so I've probably had more days off in the last 2 or 3 weeks than I've actually worked, which has been good. I've enjoyed the downtime, but I'm going to be in the same boat as I always am in December. I've got about 4 or 5 jobs to finish off, and then I'll take 2 or 3 weeks off, and then get stuck into it next year.
It's hard for us because like we got small teams. We don't have 20 installers or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like I said, builder delays. Shit happens.
Yeah.
And when we do the job, we're not gonna rush. Just
that's it,
maybe do longer days,
Yeah.
work weekends. But like when you start your own shop, and that's the issue I'm in now. I'm kind of lucky I've got you and another guy to give jobs to.
Yeah.
But sometimes the customer's like, no, we want you to do the job.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you become like exclusive.
That's the other thing that I know that I get told I've been told that I complain a bit too much about products, and I know that you have as well.
Oh, everybody says that to me. You're the
Yeah.
only one that whinges, but now you've started as well.
Yeah,
It's
well,
good.
I mean, because if you're doing a stick down flooring and you've charged a customer $2.5 grand for subfloor prep, and then you lay the floor and you get there and the boards are bowie, and you just lay as you normally would, half the floor is going to be hollow. So then you either spend extra days and labour weighing everything down, weighing as you go. So you lay 3 or 4 runs, weigh it all down, wait for it to go off. It's going to take an extra 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, and
So then-
shifting, a ton of weight.
Yeah, so
every
I've had jobs where I've taken a full pallet of glue and a full pallet of timber from my factory to the job site just to weigh it down. And luckily for that one, I got reimbursed. But yeah, there's been times where, that makes you think if we're complaining about stuff, like who else is complaining? If no one else is complaining, how are they laying these boards that have a 25, 30 mil bow in them when you pull it out of the pack?
They don't care. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I've just come to that realization. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're there to lay the floor. The floor's there. The trims are there. The glue's there. Just lay it. Anything that is major, put it aside, and hopefully somebody will bring you an extra box.
Yeah.
But that's like now, like I'm like thinking, well, all these manufacturers that I work with, should I be testing their floors as well?
Yeah.
Because if like I look at it like we've got all these machines, all these testers, we start pulling our hair out trying to like make the job so perfect, and then there's other people that don't even do half what we do, and how do they get away with this? How do they get more work? So you have to be so careful which I hate. I hate this business side of the world, like the business side of the business.
You have to protect yourself. You have to tick off all your boxes. So you have to go, all right, subfloor prep's good, then room, the moisture in the slab, room humidity, all that kind of thing. Check your timber, the moisture in the timber. Not so much with straight boards, but with herringbone, check if they're square or not. I've been caught out a couple of times where you just start laying and assume they're good. You get halfway down the hallway and you go, hang on, how am I so far out over such a little distance? Then you start putting a square on them and you realise that there's a 1 or 2 mil gap on the edges. So yeah, I don't use it at the moment, but I had an iPad that just literally took photos of everything, just so if that one job or one customer, I know that I've done everything right, I can show the customer I've checked everything. Here's all the readings. Here's the subfloor prep, all that kind of thing. Because, I want to help the customer. I don't want to just get money off them and then leave. Like I want them to have a good floor and a good service. And if anything goes wrong, I'll be there to help them.
Yeah. But that's what we're doing. Like, we're with the customer going against the manufacturer, and we've done everything. We've got an R report done. He's got their report done. Even the manufacturer's report saying, the floor is installed to the highest standard.
Yeah.
But it's a manufacturing fault. But the environment of the house could have played an issue. And then being a floor installer, the customer could have said, oh, okay, that's probably what the issue was. But then I look at the data readings. It's like, well, can you show me where does this show that? Like these numbers don't actually show. You can't cheat numbers.
Yeah.
So and like the stuff that you have to be so careful of, and most people are not.
Well, like I said, it's that one job that can ruin you. You could do 100 jobs, you can work for 3 years and be fine, but then if that one job, something goes wrong and you get taken to court and you haven't got the right, all the details, photo evidence, or the readings, all that kind of thing, then you're liable. And then if you have to rip up the whole floor and replace it, there's potentially 30, 40 grand just in product.
Yeah,
So,
that's why we even if we had a couple of people like help us out for a couple of days on large jobs, and my dad would be like, oh, there's like a water leak, and he'd go take a photo and send it to the customer, and the customer would come home, and the guy that was helping was like, why are you telling him that? It's like you're not a plumber. Like, what's it gonna do with you? Well, we want them to know. Like maybe it's an old leak. Who knows? But at least they're aware of it.
Yeah.
But even like the herringbone, like the couple pictures I sent you, they're laying the herringbone and they're walking across it, like they're laying on top while it's fresh and it's sliding. And it's like, how can you lay, the floor on top and you're walking across, the glue's not even gone off.
And then you see them in the next photos, are all on their hands and knees with the bottle of filler
Yeah.
and they're just filling all the gaps.
Yeah. Some even use like silicon. When they use silicon shiny,
Yeah.
and the light hits it, you can see
Yeah.
reflecting. But yeah, like, you know, it's good that you're getting into retail. You know, like, you know, be my competitor. But like we said on the day, it doesn't really matter because if I've got a job that I can't get to, I'm gonna give it to you. Vice
Yeah.
versa. We look out for each other.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as I said, there's hundreds of installs in Melbourne. There's 50 different shops. It's no point really going up against everyone. I mean, if you can work with a few people, and there might be days where, like you said, if you have a job that you can't get to, but I can, I'll go do that and help you out, and then, you know, vice versa.
And the customer knows that doesn't matter if I do it or you do it, they're getting the best possible result.
Yeah, because I only ever refer you because I not that I mean I know there's other installers out there that do good work, but I haven't seen their work personally. I mean, it looks good in photos. They're always working. They've got heaps of work. You know, they do high end jobs, but without actually seeing their job in person, I don't want to refer them, because I did that once a couple of years ago. I referred someone that I thought they did a good job, and then yeah, it turns out that they didn't, and then I felt guilty. So, well, I gave you their contact details. I kind of feel guilty that now you got an average job. So that's just, I guess, who I am. I don't like, you know, letting people down or stuffing people around.
Yeah, that's why, like, we live in an age where, like, you go on your phone, you can look up anything, and that's why, like you were saying before, like this podcast, whatever you want to call it, it's just more to educate the customer, show them the back end. You know, it's like you need to know exactly what's happening in your job. And if you see somebody coming with like no drop saw stand and it's like kind of like mediocre, like kind of question it, you know, because professionals that in any industry are set up well and they take pride in not just in their work, but in their tools, like what they do and how they speak. When you go to like a floor shop, you know, question them, you know, on subfloor prep and this and that. And if they start saying, oh, the floor installer will tell you what's a bit too late when I've paid for the floor and my prep I've done prep jobs where it's like 10 grand.
Yeah.
You know, like on 200 square meters, you know, you get a pallet of leveling, there's like 5-6 hours just in the leveling just to buy material.
Yeah.
So like, people
well,
should not be caught out anymore.
Right.
Well, wrap it up. I'll see your work break up next week.
Yeah, what are we doing?
We'll go go-karting and do a barbecue here in the factory. Yeah. Wog style.
Yeah.
Easy.
Done. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
Well, thanks for having me, mate.
Done.
See you on the next one.
Done.
Cheers, mate.